Well, a situation came up the other day that's got me kind of rethinking my Nagant carry methodology. I normally have the Nagant with me all the time. That holds 7 shells, which, I like to carry a few more. So I tend to carry loose Nagant ammunition in my pocket, another 7 of them. Now, these are that gas seal. So that bullet is recessed. Now what I had happen the other day, I had shot the 7 in the gun. Normally, most situations come up, you use like 2 or 3 shots is about it. But then I want some extra long to reload. But I was playing around with it, and I shot the 7 in the gun, and I reloaded it with the 7 out of my pocket that I had been carrying loose with all this other junk that I carry in my pocket. In a normal cartridge, it isn't going to be a bother. But these Nagants, with that recessed bullet and very thin brass, it had got squashed in my, carrying firewood and monkeying around. And you know how that cylinder has to go forward into the barrel to make that gas seal. And when I went to fire it, it wouldn't go forward all the way. Because what had happened is it made it kind of egg-shaped. So it couldn't fit in there. So I just clicked it past that one, and I could continue firing. But, it made me think, and I should change the method of carrying them, not loose in my pocket. Originally, they were issued in a paper packet, 7 rounds in a paper packet. And like the holster that came with the Nagant has got, this is that newer, like a refurbishment type holster. And it's got a compartment with slots for 2 of those paper packets. So you'd have an extra 14, 7 in the gun, and an extra 14 rounds. I think I can get by with just 7. I'll think about this some more. But, like say this is the transition holster that was designed to fit both the Nagant, and then you would carry the paper packets in here, or the toe groove. And when you use the toe groove in it, you could carry a spare mag in this pocket here. It was when they were going from the Nagants to the toe grooves. So it makes sense, but what I don't like, that adds a lot of thickness to the whole setup. Particularly, like this is like a shoulder type holster, or more of a chest rig that I carry it in. And I don't want to make that thicker. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, that's why I put some in a packet. I think I would have room. I've got more of the same leather to stitch a small pocket right above the flap of the holster, right there. And I think that would not be in the way. And it would give me my extra 7 rounds without extra bulk. Because that's kind of a nuisance too. Things get pretty thick. But I like the gun because it's simple, reliable. But the first failure I've ever had is from that. situation where that case got kinked. So I'm going to have to rethink that. Or at least that carried them in my pocket. But of course, really, I'm sure you're not supposed to be carrying loose ammunition in your pocket, but I've always done that. Like even the like 22 shells. A lot of times I run across a 22 shell that got left in a cubby hole or something. I'll throw it in my pocket, so they end up in there. But then it bangs around with all this other stuff. Loose bullets. I suppose carrying a pocket with nails and hot cartridges isn't smart, but empty brass that I pick up that, when I go to the range, it'll be laying there from a time I was out there previously. In fact, I really don't remember. I did shoot the old 38 Smith & Wesson one time, but I didn't know I lost any brass for it. But I found that one day, so I picked them up. But the whole, if that isn't perfectly tapered, it won't fit in there. It's got to make that fit to do that gas seal. And in order to do that, that cylinder has to move forward. Now, one of the things I'm doing today, these are, well, they're a complex gun, but in a simple sort of way. The stuff that they do is kind of amazing. But that's the first time that has been a problem. But the complaint people always have about these is that the double action trigger pull is heavy. I don't find it to be that way myself. But normally I go in there and I will grease all those pivot points. Particularly this one here that slides up, which actually pushes that block that pushes the cylinder forward. That's got to be, it's kind of a wedge that goes up in there to push that block forward. And if that's grinding at all, it causes you problems. It makes that really hard double action pull. And normally what I use is an anti-seize compound on them. But I got to thinking, in these SIG kits that I bought for the K98 or K31, on their bolt they use this graphite-based waxy kind of lube. I think I'm going to try some of that. They come with 2 little bottles of that in the kit. Those are nice cleaning kits too. I use them on everything that they'll fit in. They won't fit in that Swede, but everything else they were good for. But I'm going to try some of that and see how that behaves when I get a real cold day. See if that kind of gums up, but I would think that would be fairly reliable in cold weather. But I will have to rethink that, my carry method. And another disadvantage, they always get full of pocket lint. That end does. Because they're, the bullets are lubed with that Alox before I put them in there. So they're just waiting to pick up anything. So sawdust or any kind of lint. The worst would be sand. You get some sand in there, it would stick on the bullet and grind on your barrel. But that's the first time I've had that happen. And when they're in the gun, they're protected. But it's those backup ones in my pocket that are a problem. So I think a paper packet of 7 rounds in a pocket right there would do the trick. But like I say, the original one, this Nagant kind of holster thing, that's actually a divided pocket so you can carry 2 packets. But I normally don't. Normally, like I say, most incidents, 2 or 3 shots kind of settles the deal. So it's just a matter of having some extras along for reloading. So I think 7 would do me for what I need it for. But I want to lube these pins up with that SIG stuff and see how that works. Because that really is the problem when people complain about double action being so hard. You know, I don't find it to be that hard myself. But I think of it as a safety feature. But that's really where you get your resistance. When that block can't go forward, you know, there's kind of a wedge that gets pushed up there. If it can't push up to slide this forward smoothly, you're going to have a hard pull. Lovely little gun. But I got to rethink that. I think that's the answer. I'll have to hunt up my leatherworking gear and go at that.